Please like and subscribe if you learn something. Plot. The Time Machine was reprinted in 2 complete science adventure books in 1951. A Victorian Englishman, identified only as the time traveler, tells his weekly dinner guests that he has experimental verification of a machine that can travel through time. He shows them what he says is a small model, and they watch it disappear. He says he has a big machine nearly finished in his laboratory, in which a person could travel through time. At dinner the following week, a weary, bedraggled traveler recounts to his guests what he experienced on his journey to the future. In the new narrative, the time traveler goes into the future, observing things moving in quick motion around him. He sees his house disappear and turn into a lush garden. The traveler stops in AD 800 2701 and meets the Eli, a society of small, childlike humanoids. They live in small communities within large and futuristic yet deteriorating buildings, and adhere to a fruit-based diet. His efforts to communicate with them are hampered by their lack of curiosity or discipline. They appear happy and carefree but fear the dark, particularly moonless nights. They give no response to nocturnal disappearances, possibly because they are so afraid of them. After exploring the area around the Eli's residences, the traveler reaches the top of a hill overlooking what was once London and finds the ruins of what once was a metropolis. He concludes that the entire planet became a garden, with little trace of human society or engineering from the hundreds of thousands of years prior, and that communism has at last been achieved. He also theorizes that intelligence springs from necessity. With no real challenges facing the Eli, they have lost the spirit, intelligence, and physical fitness of humanity at its peak. Returning to the site where he arrived, the traveler finds his machine missing. He is confident that it at least has not traveled through time, as he had removed its levers. Later, he encounters the Morlocks, ape-like troglodytes who live in darkness underground and surface only at night. Deducing that they must have taken his time machine, he explores one of many wells that lead to the Morlocks' dwellings and discovers them operating the machinery and industry that makes the above-ground paradise of the Eli possible. He realizes that the Morlocks control and feed upon the Eli. The traveler speculates that the human race has diverged into 2 species. The favored aristocracy has become the Eli, and their mechanical servants have become the Morlocks. Meanwhile, he rescues Eli Weena from drowning, as none of the other Eli take any notice of her plight. The traveler takes Weena with him on an expedition to the Palace of Green Porcelain, a distant structure which turns out to be a derelict museum. Here, the traveler finds a fresh matches and fashions a crude weapon against Morlocks, whom he must fight to recover his machine. He plans to take Weena back to his own time to save her from the horrors of the future world, because the tiring journey back to Weena's home is too much for them. They stop in the forest for the night. They are eventually attacked by Morlocks, and Weena faints. The traveler escapes when a small fire he left behind them to repel the Morlocks turns into a forest fire. Weena and the Morlocks are lost in the blaze. The Morlocks open the Sphinx and use the machine as bait to capture the distraught traveler. Not understanding that he can use it to escape, he reattaches the levers before traveling further ahead to roughly 30 million years from his own time. There, he sees some of the last living things on a dying Earth. Crab-like creatures wandering blood-red beaches chasing enormous butterflies. In a world covered in lichenoid vegetation, he continues to make jumps forward through time, seeing Earth's rotation cease and the sun grow larger, redder, and dimmer, and the world falling silent and freezing as the last living things die out. Overwhelmed, he returns to his own time. Arriving at the laboratory just 3 hours after he originally left, He arrives late to his own dinner party. Whereupon, after eating, the traveler relates his adventures to his disbelieving visitors, producing as evidence two unusual white flowers Weena put in his pocket. The original narrator relates that he returned to the traveler's house the next day, finding him preparing for another journey and promising to return in a short time, after waiting for 3 years. However, the narrator says that the traveler has not returned. Please like and subscribe if you learned something.